Is there really such thing as the best settings in Apex Legends? Should you max out your sense for better flicks? It's all about the curve.
I think I like it.
Let's go.
Good shit. Wiping a fucking lobby solo duo.
Yes, sir! What is going on, everybody? Today we're going to be going over my updated Season 14 settings, the settings that I've been using to get really accurate, fast flicks, consistent tracking, and, just overall just really good aim. Now, about a month ago, I made an entirely different video all about my current settings for Season 14, and today is going to be another video about what settings I've adjusted since then. Not only what I have adjusted, but why I adjusted them, and what settings you should be using and why you should be using them. Alright, today we're going to be going over what I think are the best settings in Apex Legends. And you can adjust this relative, to what is comfortable for you. But overall, there are three main settings that I want you to try and replicate, right? Everything else you can customize to your own liking, but for, these typical three settings, I'm going to want you to stick relatively close to them. Now, I don't play with the classic sensitivity over here. I don't play default or, anything that's in the default, controller settings. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to come all the way down here to advanced look controls. This is going to just give you so much extra customizability within your settings. Now, if you're new to ALC settings, that's totally fine. Go check out my video, top right corner right now, where I talk all about what every single individual setting does and how you can start setting up your own settings. Now, again, if you're new to ALC settings and you finally turn it on, this is probably what you're going to be seeing right here. All of your settings are set at the default. And this is going to be really confusing, and that's totally cool. We're going to walk right through this. Just like I was mentioning earlier, there's three settings that you really want to stick close to, and that's going to be the dead zone, the outer threshold, and the response curve. For our dead zone, right, this is essentially how much control you're going to have over your analog stick. If you can, is lower this as low as we possibly can to the point where we have as little stick drift as possible. Me personally, on my controller, I can handle about 3% dead zone. Anything lower than 3%, I just have incredible stick drift, and it's very hard to control really far range engagements. For the outer threshold, we're going to keep this around the 2 to 3%. We don't want to really go past 3% because it's going to cause a couple issues, right? So me, typically, I play on 2%. Now for the response curve, this is probably the most important setting right next to dead zone. We're going to bring this from 10, which is otherwise known as classic, inside of this over here, the response curve classic. That would be the same as 10 response curve, and we're going to bring this all the way down to 0. This is the equivalent of linear. What we can actually do here is check out this blue graph bottom right corner. I'll give you a quick example as to what this is actually doing for you. If we crank this all the way up to the max here, this blue graph represents your acceleration from your analog stick. Just gonna walk away from all the caustic gas that's going off. Now, if we look at this blue graph here, this is essentially your acceleration when you're moving your right analog stick, your aiming stick. This far left side, this is as if you haven't pulled your stick at all, and this far right side is as if you pulled your stick all the way up to the max. You can see here with the higher response curve, these smaller movements that you make hardly register at all, if at all, right? Like right here, you can see that you're actually not getting any acceleration up until about right here, and then this is where your stick finally starts to register. And then all of a sudden, it just whomps all the way up. Versus if we crank this down to linear, or even just classic, right? You can start seeing that now we're getting a little bit more acceleration in our smaller movements. We crank this all the way up down to the, the lowest on linear, otherwise known as like raw input, right? You can see right here The second that you start moving, and by the way, this little gap right here, that's the 3% dead zone right there. But you can see as soon as we start pulling our stick, we're immediately getting acceleration. So as soon as we start touching our stick, it is already responding to whatever we're inputting. And this is what I find gives me really accurate flicks, really accurate recoil control. I'm able to quickly correct anything that's happening on screen. And that's what I really like about linear respawns, just that ability to correct things right away. Now coming on down to yaw speeds and pitch speeds, this is gonna be your left and right, and then your up and down speed. I have been playing all the way maxed out. The main reason for this is just to give myself that really quick ability to turn around. Being able to quickly, 180, 360, whatever I need to do. This is also really going to help you with movement if you're looking to do wall bouncing or tap strafing, super jumping, just interacting with, your environment. You're going to notice that a higher sensitivity is going to give you the ability to, maneuver a lot more efficiently. Might be a little hard to control just because you are playing on such a twitchy response curve mixed in with a really low dead zone on top of a really fast sensitivity. So just like I was saying earlier, right? These three you want to stick close to. The yaw and the pitch speed, you're going to want to kind of just, adjust to whatever is comfortable for you. But 500 maxed out, that's comfortable for me. Another thing that you can do to kind of compromise if you can't do a really high speed like this is play on whatever's comfortable for you and then just turn up your extra yaw. This way, as soon as you pull your stick all the way out to the edge, you're gonna get an extra 250 speed on top of whatever you already had before. But because I play already maxed out, I don't really need to have any extra speed. 500 is more than enough for me. Now my ADS speed right here, I like to play on 170. For me personally, this is a really comfortable setting. I used to play 190, but I was noticing that I was a little inconsistent. And as soon as I lowered it, it was a little hard to get used to at first. But as soon as I got used to it, I was noticing I was significantly more consistent in all of my engagements while I was ADSing. We're gonna we're gonna turn this extra yaw up to 80 also, and then turn off these delays. And you might notice, right, I match all of my speeds 1 for 1. So if I'm playing on 500, I'm gonna do 500 for both. If I'm playing 170, I'm gonna do 170 for both. The reason why I do this is actually really important. If I come down here, right, and I make a diagonal turn, actually, let me turn on my gamepad. I'll turn on my controller display. If I make a diagonal like this, right, if I'm doing a 45-degree like this, whatever I input is actually going to register in-game 1 for 1. But if I mismatch my settings, so let's just crank this all the way down low just to give a really clear example. If I push on a 45-degree, you can see, right? I'm not getting that same angle, right? It's not going exactly where I'm pushing my thumb, and that's an issue for me. Now I'm gonna have to correct for that in game. So for me, having my settings match 1 for 1 is very important because now I know that whatever I actually put into my analog stick is actually gonna register in game.
Need to reach. I'm taking shots. Look at my grenade. Half the squads are gone. I'm fine with that. to go. Took out the whole squad. Arcstar out. I'm hit.
Fucking, there's no reason for him to peek that. Like,